Hey guys, today we're gonna make an amazing cilantro-lime chicken that's super easy, quick, and full of flavor.
For this recipe, I prefer to use chicken thighs. It's a lean piece of protein. It's tender and juicy and absorbs the flavors really well.
Let's get started.
Awesome. Let's start with the marinade. I tend to start with the garlic. You need about 6 cloves for about 2 to 3 pounds of chicken thighs. Crush it open. Doesn't matter if you crush it because we're gonna be mincing it up anyway. It tends to activate the flavors a little bit.
Okay, it's Danielle working on the garlic. I'm gonna start zesting the lime. And a word about the lime, you always wanna zest first before you get the juice out. It doesn't really work well the other way around. Make sure you rinse the limes before you zest them.
So while she's zesting the limes, I'm gonna be cleaning and cutting the cilantro. You don't really want it too wet when you're cutting it because then it just kind of like gets globby. And then you try to rip off the leaves from the stems. You don't really want the stems. I'm gonna be doing a 1/4 cup minced cilantro, and I want to have extra for garnish later on as well.
All right, I got all the lime.
I think zest is really important in these recipes. The flavor profile it adds is a lot more than just the juice. In cooking, it really brings the citrus to the surface. It's gonna taste really bright and summery and yummy. Now to juice. You can juice limes many different ways.
This is my favorite.
We have a favorite, people.
My favorite. I'm gonna cut this stuff in half and I can just do it directly to the bowl.
Yes, because there's no seeds.
Even if we had seeds from lemons, they wouldn't go inside.
So the next step is the olive oil. It's give or take 4 tablespoons. It's okay if it's a little more. Olive oil is yummy. A little salt. I tend to use kosher salt. It's bigger, I can feel it in my hands. I understand how much I'm putting in. Black pepper, freshly ground is ideal. A little chili powder.
2 teaspoons. Don't put a whole lot more. It's gonna overwhelm the dish.
It is gonna overwhelm the dish, and you may not like how hot it may get because the lime and the salt elevate the spice. The last little touch is a little bit of honey, about a tablespoon. It'll pull the flavors together, but it'll also balance out the heat if you've put too much in. And we just whisk this together.
Make sure you get everything from the sides so it blends nicely.
Looks beautiful.
All right.
Right?
Perfect.
Yeah. Now, I would put the chicken right in your marinade bowl, kind of massage it a little bit, push it up to the side, get yourself another piece, and you do this until you've used all your chicken. Just try to use one hand and then go straight to the sink and wash that one hand, and you should be okay, as long as you're clean and don't touch everything. Mix it all up. Cover this and refrigerate it and let the chicken absorb these flavors for at least 2 hours. If you have less time, that's fine. The longer you leave it in there, the better it's gonna taste. 2 hours gives the chicken a good amount of time to soak it up. You can also do this a day beforehand. Leave it in a Ziploc in the fridge, and then it's a great quick midweek meal. So I just pulled the chicken out of the fridge. It's been marinating for 2 hours, and we're going to cook it in our cast iron skillet, which we have to heat up. And it takes a while to heat it up. Did we say this already? So you do need to pay a little bit of attention to heating up your skillet. It takes a little extra time, but is fully worth it. It will give you chicken skin that's crisp, and it'll keep the moisture in the chicken instead of it spilling out because the skin doesn't sear well. You can heat it in your oven for about 20 minutes, or you can do it right on the stovetop, which I tend to do. It feels a little quicker. It seems a little easier, especially on these hot days where I don't want to have my oven on.
It's hot.
It's very hot. With this chicken, we do not need to add oil to the pan. There's enough oil in the marinade, which is kind of nice. You want to place each piece of chicken in its own space, not too close together, because you want them to cook individually. That is the noise you want to hear. You're gonna have to do this in batches. I could squish another piece in, but I don't want to squish. Now this is the moment I would add a little extra salt. If you have high blood pressure or are watching your salt, don't do it because you did put some in the marinade. But I personally feel like a little extra salt as it's cooking will bring more of the flavors to the surface. And you let them cook about 5 or 6 minutes to each side. One thing about searing this chicken is you don't want to move it in the pan because that will break the surface that's been cooked, and that surface holds in all of the juices. So if you're not sure whether it's done, just kind of lift it up and look it over. If it looks like it's brown, like this one is, I'm going to flip it over. See how it's getting crispy?
This looks beautiful.
I'm going to turn this one over. I'm gonna do a little salt on the other side. Just a little. I'm going to check to make sure the chicken is at the right internal temp, which is 165.
Well, that looks about right.
That looks about right. If it's not correct and you've already pulled it off your pan, you can easily throw it in the oven for a few minutes to finish it off or back into your pan. So the chicken is done. I put it on a plate. I added a few lemon wedges. I chopped up a little bit more cilantro, threw it over the top, and there you have a fancy midweek meal.
That looks amazing. The recipe for this chicken is in the description below. And if you want more quick and simple recipes, make sure you're subscribed. See you soon.
Have fun.